how is it even possible to do a horror review on something when it isn't even October? You know what I'm saying? Like, we can't do that. I don't think that's possible. Are you sure? Oh, yeah, that's true, I suppose. I mean, well, wait. Oh, we're live? Like right now? Right now?
Yeah, I knew that. I knew we were live. I wasn't just, figuring out why we're doing horror films right now. Hey, how's it going, guys?
Welcome back to Popcorn Poppin' Live. I just didn't know that we were doing horror. I thought horror was specifically for October because, when you're a horror fan and you tell other people, hey, did you see that new horror movie? Sometimes people that are scaredy cats just say, no, I've never seen that movie. And I'm like, why not? And they're like, well, Popcorn Poppy, it's not October. What kind of shitty excuse is that? It isn't an excuse at all. Hello. What up, doe? Welcome to Popcorn Poppin' Live-ish show, your ultimate movie, TV, and streaming guide. There's too much content in the world, and you can't be wasting your time. So let me waste my time for you by watching all that looks vaguely interesting and letting you know what's poppin' and what ain't. Tonight, we'll be ranking the best BlumHouse films of all time. But first, let's dive straight into Lee Cronin's The Mummy. Now, when I say Lee Cronin's The Mummy, you automatically hear mummy. Mummy? Oh, you hear mummy? No, I'm not talking about your mother, all right? You need to disconnect for a second. I'm talking about Lee Cronin's The Mummy, which is not to be confused with the new Mummy reuniting Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz. I repeat, Lee Cronin's The Mummy is not to be confused with the new Mummy reuniting Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz. That one is coming out next year with Radio Silence's Matt Bettinelli-Olpin and Tyler Gillette. Both names I'm sure I mispronounced. They are directing, previously having done The Ready or Nots, Scream 5 and 6, and Abigail. No. We're not talking about that. That's next year. This one is Lee Cronin's The Mummy, which stars Jake Rayner. Jake. His name's not Jake. Jack Rayner and Leia Costa. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Jack may look familiar because you saw him in Transformers Age of Extinction, the first robot fighting movie without Shia, and surprisingly, not bad on Peacock and Paramount Plus. He was also in Midsommar, or Midsummer, however you want to pronounce it, with Florence Pugh in the cultist horror film that you can rent right now. And Leia Costa was in Victoria, a film that I hadn't seen, but it's about a young Spanish woman becoming embroiled in a bank robbery overnight. It's one of those long one-take movies that were done at the third take. There's 3 attempts to make the film, and they shot between 4:30 a.m. and 7 a.m. Take number 3 was this film, which is pretty cool. You can rent it right now. I hear it's not bad, but the director of this one is Lee Cronin, who previously did Evil Dead Rise, about a woman who recently found out she's pregnant, visits her estranged sister's family, only to be stuck in their high-rise apartment building surrounded by possessed tenants. You can watch on HBO Max. Now, that's very important that you remember that he did Evil Dead Rise. This film is about a little girl who goes missing from a family for 8 years until they find her in a sarcophagus from a downed plane. I think I say sarcophagus wrong. She's brought back home alive, but unwell, and creepy shit starts to take place. So, Poppin' or not, let's look over to Bucky for the report. Bucky, how was Lee Cronin's The Mummy? Bucky, are you there? Not available. I'm sorry, guys, this has never happened before. No Bucky and Poppin is unavailable. But what does that mean? I think that means not Poppin, but how? I know what you're asking yourselves. Why didn't Bucky show up? Well, it's because I didn't find it fair to give this a full treatment of a rating. However, I will report something for you. Disclaimer, along with every other film that I review. The following is that of opinion of myself and Bucky. Art is a subjective critique, and therefore my opinion is not fact. IMDb's current rating of Lee Cronin's The Mummy is 6.5 out of 10, which is the same rating as Cronin's first film, Evil Dead Rise, a film I didn't love on my first watch, but still found fun, followed by genuine enjoyment and appreciation through the second watch. Other 6.5 films include Longlegs, which you can watch on Hulu, Detective Pikachu, which you can detect by renting, The Interview, also available for renting, and Smile, which you can watch on Hulu. My point is, for IMDb standards, 6.5 is a solid score, so that ain't bad for the new Mummy. Direction and production of the film was great. Cringing horror that disgusts you every 20 seconds, uncomfortable tension, and disturbing sound effects that truly make you feel like you're in a horror movie. That's the positives. Plus, the first 15-ish minutes were enjoyable, where we see where the sarcophagus actually comes from. We're also introduced to the family who sees the little girl go missing and what life is like 8 years after losing your little girl. Life goes on for this family, and life is almost normal until a plane crashes and they find the sarcophagus with the little girl inside, alive, but far from well. But the doctor suggests bringing her home to slowly acclimate to a normal life, and this is immediately where my suspension of disbelief breaks. Sure, I buy the catatonic state suggesting that in some world, home life may help, and perhaps the film reflects the difficulties of raising a child with mental and physical health disabilities. Having said that, this is not that. My personal issue with the film is that I'm not a big fan on religious horror. The classic Exorcist is not only iconic, but also truly fantastic filmmaking. Yet, that doesn't mean all possessed little girl movies are going to be home runs. Lee Cronin's The Mummy is The Exorcist meets Evil Dead meets Seven. It just wasn't very original. It's like the studio was dying to figure out how to make a good and profitable mummy film, so they decided to make an old formula and spin it around, and instead of focusing on demonic possession, it's a mummy. It just didn't work for me, because once the little girl does that weird spiny thing in bed in front of the family, shit that demon children do when they're possessed, that should have been the point where the family goes, okay, gang, something is very wrong here. We need to, in the very least, call the doctor. But we absolutely should react properly and call a fucking exorcist. But the little girl continues to do crazy shit, like crawl behind walls, eat scorpions, and headbutting grandma, and even losing a gargantuan slice of skin, yikes, from her leg just from clipping toenails. How you do that? Go see Lee Cronin's The Mummy in theaters. But still, there's only two small and two calm conversations about maybe taking her back to the hospital. No, these characters are way too chill. I understand that cinema and horror specifically thrives on characters making bad decisions to further entertainment for audiences, but there are barely any voices of reason throughout the film. So, the feels aspect of this were just frustration at almost every character, specifically these two and their choices, and thus I was not entertained for the rest of the film. There was a good Morse code scene that almost brought me back from the bullshit that just followed through. But to answer your question, folks, the reason Bucky didn't bother to show up to this reviewing of the movie is because I didn't bother to finish the movie. I walked out. Yeah. And I don't do that often. I rarely do this, but my rule of recent years is give a film 30-ish minutes, and if you still dislike it, you shouldn't have to suffer through the rest. With this case, I genuinely enjoyed it for a while, but the despair started around 20 minutes in. So yeah, not to Poppin. And maybe the last 30 minutes were some of the best last 30 minutes in any movie, but I didn't see those minutes, so I give the rest of the film a small popcorn with no butter. The original Mummy films with Boris Karloff were dope, and obviously the first two Brendan Fraser mummies were great, and I couldn't finish the third, all of which you can check out on HBO Max. And the last go with Tom Cruise was no picnic either. Maybe the next Mummy with Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz reuniting will save this IP. But we're going to be stuck with this curse. This curse almost as bad as the curse of a mummy. Now, we will be right back, and we'll take a look at the top 10 BlumHouse production films, because this one was produced by BlumHouse. Yeah, sure, they had some stinkers, but maybe they can do better. So stick around, and we'll be right back to see the top 10 BlumHouse produced films.
My sweet, you're alive. I am. I faked my own death so we could be together.
Oh, but I drank poison. Why didn't you even notice something so I wouldn't overreact like this?
Why would you do that stupid shit?
I don't know. It doesn't matter because I'm going to die now.
No, Romeo, no!
Yes, Juliet, yes. Now I shall close my eyes to die, to sleep perchance to dream.
Wrong show.
Whatever.
Romeo, no!
I know it will be hard to live without me.
It would be so difficult, Romeo.
But you must live.
Oh, okay, Romeo.
Juliet!
Romeo!
Aren't you gonna join me?
What?
Aren't you gonna join me in death so we can be together for all eternity?
You want me to kill myself?
Well, I thought you'd want to be with me.
But just a little while ago, you said you wanted me to
I
live.
thought you said you loved me.
I never said that.
I believe you did. Several
No,
times.
shh, shh, shh. No. Shh, shh. You're delirious from the poison. When is it gonna kick in, by the way?
Takes a few minutes. I don't know.
Ah.
That's plenty of time for you to stab yourself.
Gee, Romeo, I don't know. I still haven't been to New York.
It's overrated. It smells like piss. There's way too many people.
Wait a minute.
Huh?
I thought you said you never been to New York.
Oh, I went last week with Mercutio.
You went with Koosh Koosh?
Oh, why?
You said you were gonna bring me with you the first time.
Well, he said he had to buy some cocaine and he needed help bringing it across the border.
You said you were gonna bring me with you for your first line.
Can you just kill yourself, please? I don't have too long.
Maybe I don't want to die without a line of cocaine in my system.
Did somebody say cocaine?
No,
Yes,
Koosh
Koosh
Koosh. Mercutio, we need some privacy.
Well, okay then. More for Koosh Koosh.
Oh, Romeo, sweet Romeo. Rest peacefully. My sweet, sweet Romeo. Hey, Koosh Koosh, let me get a line of that.
Koosh Koosh puts the yay in yay. Hello there, loving lovers and broken hearts.
Yeah, you right there. I'm talking to you. Don't be afraid to get your hands a little dirty. Oh, sexy.
I'm the Barry Brown.
Ah,
What are you watching, you may ask? God! Barry Brown's 2026 Sex Electric Valentine's Day Special. And that's not contagious, right?
I never said that.
Satisfactory, baby.
That's right, people. Be sure to check out Barry Bound's Sex Electric 2026 Valentine's Day special only at the Poppin Productions YouTube page. And now we're back with our regular scheduled programming. BlumHouse is a production company started in the early 2000s by Jason Blum and Amy Israel, and was called Blum Israel Productions, but they parted ways in 2002 and it officially became BlumHouse Productions. You may know The Purge, Black Phone, Insidious, Sinister, and of course, The Paranormal Activities, with the first one catapulting the production company into greatness, but with a catalog over 100 projects, which are the best 10 films. I'll give you mine if you show me yours, unless you don't want to, because I don't want to like force you to show me something you don't want to show me. But I will tell you, I did not include The Paranormal Activities, any of them, even the first one, even though the first one was decent and certainly earned my respect for being made for 15 grand and making over $193 million. So it gets an honorable mention. But let's start with my personal number 10, which is Creep. You do the creep. Do the creep. Written and starring Mark Duplass and director Patrick Bryce. Duplass, you may remember from the morning show The League and an indie project God in general with Room 107, Togetherness, and Safety Not Guaranteed. Creep is about a videographer that's hired to record a stranger who gives his life lessons to his son after finding out he's dying of cancer. But the job becomes even more peculiar creeping out the videographer, especially with this guy's weird lies and mask. And it is indeed creepy. This is a found footage horror comedy which was made for next to nothing as well, just like Paranormal Activity, and spawned a sequel and TV series that I find better than the original. The film's entertaining and simplistic production is inspiring proof that anyone can make a great piece of cinema with just a little bit of imagination. You can watch Creeps 1 and 2 on Netflix and check out the Creep Tapes television series on AMC+. Number 2. The Gift. No, not the one with Cate Blanchett, directed by Sam Raimi, but the one with Jason Bateman, Joel Edgerton, and Rebecca Hall. Jason Bateman, you may recognize from Arrested Development, of course, Ozark, and the recently wrapped DTF St. Louis, which is pretty fun, weird show, by the way. A little sad, but a little bit work with it. Watch it on HBO Max. But this also stars and is co-written by Joel Edgerton, who co-wrote The Rover and The King, but you may have seen him in Warrior, the Dark Matter series, and Train Dreams. And it also has Rebecca Hall, who I've hailed quite a bit on Popcorn Poppin' for her films like The Town, The Night House, and Resurrection. But The Gift is about a married couple who is visited by a victim from their past that brings with him a gift for them that they may or may not want to accept. The Gift was a fantastic film for a creepy premise, with Edgerton giving you the ick. Dark tension throughout, one of Jason Bateman's first popular bouts at drama, and an excellently dark ending. You can check out this one on the Roku channel. It was way better than expected as well. Number 8 is one that you've definitely heard of that a lot of people hail just for this face alone. But which face is it? Well, it's James McAvoy's face. This also stars and Anya Taylor-Joy as the main final girl. But McAvoy you may recognize as young Xavier in X-Men First Class and Days of Future Past. We don't talk about the rest of them. And other films like Atonement and Wanted. Taylor-Joy you may remember from The Witch, Morgan, and Furiosa. But Split is about a group of girls who are kidnapped and held against their will by a disturbed man suffering from multiple personality disorders. 23 to be exact. This one was a rare, great film through and through from a once dying filmmaker, M. Night Shyamalan, who did, who did shit like, Sixth Sense or The Signs is just the one Signs is. Those were great movies. But if you've been keeping up with his work ever since then, you'd know I meant Shyamalan is dying art-wise, not health-wise. Without McAvoy, this film would have been only subpar, maybe, but his range and 23 personalities, along with Taylor-Joy's reactions to crazy plus excellent cinematography, equaled good times for this thriller. You can check this one out on HBO Max. And without spoiling anything, just to get you in the feel of the type of movie you're going to do, I would highly recommend for you to rent Unbreakable and watch it first, then check out Split on HBO Max, followed by Glass on HBO Max, all done by Shyamalan. Just saying, they might feel a little more connected than you would think. Number 7 is Sweetheart. I doubt anyone has heard of this one, but it stars Kiersey Clemons, who you may have seen in Netflix's Easy, in that film Dope, Neighbors 2, and a few other things as well. She's currently on Monarch Legacy of Monsters. In Sweetheart, after a shipwreck, the only surviving teenager, played by Clemons, is stranded on an island and struggles to outlive isolation and a mysterious creature hunting her. Clemons brings that survival game strong in this one. It took me a while to watch this, and I don't know a soul that has seen it, but this is Castaway with a monster, and I definitely recommend everyone to enjoy it. Super fun, even though for her character, it's quite terrifying. You can check this out by renting it. And I'm telling you, it's a really dope stranded on an island film. A woman versus nature film, except nature being a scary ass fucking creature. Number 6, Us, starring Lupita Nyong'o and Winston Duke. Nyong'o, you may remember from 12 Years a Slave, and Cooties. Winston Duke, you may remember from 9 Days, and both of which are in Black Panthers. A family's home is invaded by a group of strangers that look exactly like us. And by us, I mean them. They look like them. Before my first viewing of Us, I was hell-bent on my experience to be one of the scariest films ever made, just like the trailer promised it would be. My mind was set to
anything less than the scariest movie, and I would have seen it as a failure. Then I watched it and was more outraged at the promise being unfulfilled than I could experience the movie without said expectation of being one of the scariest movies ever made. So the second time I watched it, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it for its weirdness, its funniness, its specificity, and originality way more than my first viewing. It's strange, it's creepy, it's sort of high concept with great acting from Lupita and from Elizabeth Moss, who you may remember from Mad Men or Handmaid's Tale. This movie isn't one of the scariest movies ever made, but you don't need to be only frightened in order to be entertained by a good horror film. And this one is truly, truly entertaining. And you can rent it right now. I highly recommend it. Number 5, The Hunt, starring Betty Gilpin, Hilary Swank, Emma Roberts, and Glenn Howerton. A group of right-wing strangers wake up to a survival game and realize that they are being hunted by unknown forces. I remember this film making next to nothing because it came out during COVID and was deemed too politically dangerous for others to enjoy. And I honestly found the film's siding quite fair on making fun of both fronts of political parties. Excellent, violent, and surprisingly funny with Betty Gilpin's, and I'm sure I'm mispronouncing her name, best character that absolutely makes the work deserve a sequel or spin-off specifically for her character alone. Plus, it was written by Damon Lindelof, sorry for mispronouncing your name, who did Leftovers and the Watchmen miniseries. He also did Lost, but we don't talk about that. I highly recommend checking this one out on Peacock. Number 4. What was that? It was a Whiplash, starring Miles Teller and J.K. Simmons. Teller, you may remember from Chronicle or Top Gun Maverick. Simmons from 1,000 projects, but I'd say more popularly this, J. Jonah Jameson, Omni-Man, and the Yellow M&M. That's right. He voices the Yellow M&M. Not many people know that. Whiplash is based on a short film from director Damien Chazelle. Sorry for mispronouncing your name. Whiplash centers on a young jazz drummer who will do anything to win the respect of his abusive instructor. I'm going to say this film was masterfully made with a small cast, excellent music and sound in general, top-notch acting, and a fucking wild script with a banger of an ending. This was one of my favorite films of 2014, and it was sincerely cooler for being Chazelle's first film. Sorry for mispronouncing your name. He followed this up with La La Land and Babylon. Not many people love Babylon, but La La Land, I mean, it did pretty well. Big ups to Damien for helping make character actor J.K. Simmons even more famous and a household name that he really deserves. He deserves to be popular. I worded that different, but you understand what I'm saying. Check out Whiplash on Netflix, but also check out Hush, the number 3 film, written by star Kate Siegel, I can't pronounce anyone's name, and director Mike Flanagan. I was ready to say I nailed that. Let's try that again. Be sure to also check out Hush, written by star Kate Siegel, and director Mike Flanagan, nailed that name, who worked together on Haunting of Hill House, Fall of the House of Usher, amongst other projects. This one, Hush, is about a deaf and mute writer who fights for her life when a masked killer invades her secluded home. Most people know Flanagan as a Stephen King adapter guy, after adapting Dr. Sleep, Gerald's Game, and other upcoming projects like Another the Mist, which I trust Flanagan, but we don't need another one of those right now. The first one was perfect, and it feels like it came out yesterday. No, I'm not old. But he also did, or is doing, a series based on Carrie, and he's also supposed to be working on The Dark Tower as a series as well. Please nail that one. Anyways, he can do original content as well, like this, Oculus, and Before I Wake, and Absentia. He's a great director and writer in general, but I hope he gets back to it because I believe this was my favorite home invasion film, and I really love home invasion films, which sounds weird. Perhaps I find the situation to be quite scary depending on the setting. If you live in the middle of nowhere and it's late at night, that checks a scurry box. If you're deaf and mute, that's a scurry box I never knew existed. But Hush proves that a strong spirit can outweigh any of your shortcomings. You can check this one out on Pluto, Tubi, Prime Video, and Peacock. And don't worry, guys, just because she's deaf and mute doesn't mean that the movie doesn't have audio. You can hear it. unless you two are deaf. If so, I'm sorry for disrespecting you. Number 2, Speak No Evil, also starring James McAvoy, Mackenzie Davis, and Scoot McNairy, both from *Halt and Catch Fire*, but also Eileen Francesco from *Nightingale*. I'm sorry, I mispronounced your name. This one was directed by James Watkins, who did the *Shut Up and Dance* episode of Black Mirror and *Eden Lake*. Speak No Evil takes place during a vacation where an American couple is accompanied by their child and accepts an invitation from a British couple to stay with them. I think they're British. That might not be right, but the other couple has a mute child. Weird that 2 mute characters are in this list, but whatever. But soon the Americans want to get away from their ghastly getaway. Another James McAvoy vehicle that could have been subpar if he weren't in it, to be honest. I do a more in-depth review of this film on my YouTube channel, PopCorn Poppin Productions, which highlights the excellent comical adaptation of the Danish original. The American version, this one, isn't a comedy and is still a thriller, making you clutch your couch in suspense, but it's certainly more fun than the dark original, especially the ending. I suggest you to check out both. This one, I would say watch first on Peacock. With the original, you can view on AMC+. With all these movies, what is truly the #1 BlumHouse production? Can you guess? I'm going to give you 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. I lied. That was way faster than 3 seconds. Just get out. Get out. If you didn't know that, get out of here. No, I'm just kidding. Stay and watch. Stars Daniel Kaluuya from Judas and the Black Messiah and Nope, along with Allison Williams. But Daniel Kaluuya, you may know from Nope, another film that would have joined the complete Jordan Peele trilogy on this list. But alas, Nope was the only one that was not produced by BlumHouse. And Get Out, the original and first film by Jordan Peele, Chris, who is invited to meet his white girlfriend's family, his blackness and common sense fear that the family's overwhelming kindness has a sinister motive. But Get Out personifies the fears of a man of color can have when in an interracial relationship. This one takes place like Guess Who's Coming to Dinner and puts it on its scurrier head. The threat may appear original on film, but it is a common feeling in a lot of relationships, and some could theorize a true motive for all white people. I'm looking at all of you, even half of me, because if him and Allison Williams would have worked out, they would have made me. And that is a truly scary movie. Not only is this one a pivotal black horror film, but just a pivotal horror film in general. There's a sort of resurrection in horror right now, and I believe Get Out was one of the strong reasons for it to happen. Comedic actors were never usually known for directing horror films, and look at what we have now. After Peele broke the mold with Get Out, we have other directors like Zach Krieger, who I'm probably mispronouncing, for doing Barbarian and Weapons, Curry Baker from That's a Bad Idea sketch comedy group for doing the upcoming Obsession film, and even Bill Hader from SNL and Barry doing his upcoming debut feature film. Get Out was a masterpiece that makes you think twice about looking twice at that snow bunny and make Dr. Umar proud by sticking with an ebony queen instead. You can check this one out on HBO Max. And there are other upcoming BlumHouse films that could make this list, but I highly doubt it. Which ones, you may ask? Well, the next BlumHouse film is Obsession, directed by